Hey there and welcome to Easy Game Art. In this new series I will show you how to create easy and awesome looking art for your games, and all that without any drawing or art skills required. The technique I will be using is a vector graphics technique. If you're not familiar with vector graphics, the difference between regular bitmaps is that a vector graphic is based on shapes and position and size and all that stuff, so mathematical measurements, while a bitmap just stores the information of any pixel, so the color of any pixel of the image. The advantages of vector graphics are most importantly the editing capabilities, so you can edit, so you can resize anything you add in the image anytime, while in regular bitmap drawing you can't edit a line you've added previously afterwards. Another big advantage is the fact that you can resize anything in vector graphics as far as you want, so you can zoom in and you will still have best quality, so you can choose afterwards. If you need a very small asset, you can export it with low pixel amount, and if you need a really high resolution picture of the whole screen, you can of course export it full HD graphics. The cool thing about vector graphics is that you can go for a very modern, flat and simplistic style, which can look really nice if you do it correctly. Another great thing is that you don't need any special equipment. You can do anything with your mouse, because it's pretty much like drag and dropping shapes and modifying them. I believe that anyone can create awesome looking things with the usage of vector graphics. You don't need any special software for that as well. It's just the program Inkscape, a popular vector graphics editing program which is open source, so free to download. It has some bugs and flaws, but other than that it's really great to use and very handy to use, especially for beginners. In the first episode we will create a nice little character for some kind of 2D platformer game or something like that. But before we start creating it, I want to show you some of the basics of Inkscape. It's pretty simple to use. Here on the left side you have the toolbar, but you won't need all the tools. The most important ones are the rectangle tool. You can draw a rectangle with this, and the ellipsis tool or a circle tool. And these two shapes are actually all we're going to need to create our graphics, believe it or not. The key is we can convert these objects to paths by holding Ctrl, Shift and C. And now we press F2 to go to the path editing. Here we have the selection mode, and here we have the path editing, shortcut F2. And now we see these little node points, and by dragging the node points around we can modify the object, we can modify the path and create pretty much any shape we can imagine. You can also add new node points by double clicking somewhere at the edge, and this gives us even more option to modify the path of the object. The difference now between the rectangle and the circle is that here on the circle, of course, we can also convert it to a path by pressing Ctrl, Shift and C. But now we have these curves, and if we press on some of those node points we can see these handles here, and if we drag those handles around we can modify the curve. This also works if we press somewhere at the edge and drag it around. We can also modify the curve, which automatically adjusts all the other node points. And now we can also do this at the straight edges from the rectangle. We can also drag these edges somewhere and create a curve. Or to go back to the straight edge, we can press on the node point, hold Ctrl and press on the handle to remove the curve. So we have a straight edge again. Now another property of the objects or shapes is the color. We can set this here on the right side on the color picker. Just pressing some color here will set it for the object, and alternatively we can also set a linear gradient or a radial gradient. Let's choose a linear gradient. Now by pressing F2 or F7 if you like, you can get these handles, and by pressing one of those handles you can set the color of the gradient. Now we have to switch here to the right side. This is the opacity of the color of the object. We can set this to full opacity now, and now we have a nice little gradient. So that's pretty much all we have to know to create our graphics. With this technique, it's pretty much all about drag and dropping objects and modifying the paths. Now that we know the basics, let's start creating our character. Let's remove those two things. We want to create some kind of prehistoric looking guy. Let's just start with the head of the character. Let's start with the face. So let's draw a simple ellipsis and set the color to some kind of skin tone. Maybe this one, yeah, a little bit lighter, like that. Now we convert this ellipsis to our path using Control, Shift and C, and now we can modify the path just as we like to create our head. For instance, we create some new node points here to form a nose. It's really just about moving those node points, maybe sometimes adjusting the curve until we get a head type of shape. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Now let's add the eye for the character. We create another ellipsis, make it a bit lighter, then a little bit zooming in. Now when we zoom in, you can see that of course none of the quality of the image is lost, so we can zoom in as far as we want or zoom out as far as we want. That's a very cool thing about vector graphics. But now let's go back to the eye. Yeah, let's add another ellipsis upon that. Oops, wrong thing. Make it a bit lighter and add another thing. One more thing with Control D, you can duplicate one object that you've selected. This can be handy too sometimes. Now let's create such a little black circle here. Yeah, then maybe add a rectangle with a white rectangle with little opacity. This gives us a little nice shine, small detail. Then let's create some kind of an eyebrow rectangle and modify it a little bit. Then give it some kind of a brown tone. Full opacity, of course. Okay, that color. Yeah, that color. Okay, let's move the eye a little bit down, and let's move those node points a little bit down. Okay. Yeah, then create a mouth, maybe. Let's add hair. Maybe it looks better afterward. We don't want a bald guy, so let's give them the same color as the eyebrow. Use a rectangle as base, and then create, or you know what? Let's use another type of tool for the hair, the polygon tool. We can set this to some kind of a star shape, and we can set the corners. So let's use a high value for the corners, like 12. I think 12 is good. And let's create this thing. This creates a star with 12 corners. And now let's kind of skew it and resize it so it fits the head. And now what we're doing is we are creating a path out of this, and now we are kind of modifying it so it looks kind of like hair. This is a nice way to to create a lot of node points very fast. All right. So we've pretty quickly added some cool hair, I think. And now let's add some kind of ear. We don't absolutely, it's not the most important thing, but it's a kind of nice little detail. Oh, and another trick I want to show you. If you have two objects, you can select those two by holding shift, and then you can go to path union to create to combine those two objects to one path. This can be quite cool as well. So we have one path now, one object for our ear, which is not quite an ear yet, but let's duplicate this and move slightly to the right and use the color of our skin. And now we have this kind of little shape. Now let's select the previous one and use a bit of a lighter color. Some kind of like that, yeah. Yep, that's good. Okay. Then we create some kind of a neck, maybe, with a little gradient. What I've done now is I've moved this object to the back, in the background. This works with the page up and down keys on your keyboard, so this can be quite useful sometimes. Now let's create the body. Use a rectangle as a base and create some node points. Now let's add an arm separately, a little darker color maybe to get some contrast. Place it somewhere here, and another rectangle for the lower arm. Maybe use some kind of skin color here. Okay. Now let's create some kind of hand. It's a little more difficult. Maybe some detail will be needed here. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. Maybe make this thing a little bit smaller for the small finger. So it's not particularly detailed, of course, but I think that's it's pretty neat for this kind of simplistic style. You don't need a lot of details with this style. You will see later. It looks very nice if all the objects are in the same style. Okay, let's create the legs. Maybe this should be some kind of prehistoric guy, so let's create some kind of a skirt or something like that, rather than a pant. Here, I don't know. Looks kind of ridiculous now, but let's see if it fits. Let's create some legs here beneath the skirt of our little guy here. Let's move this behind the skirt. Yep. And maybe he's barefoot. So let's create a little bit of details on the foot here. Let's make our skirt a little more dark, and this could be a little more rounded here and there. Don't know. Shoulder, maybe a little more down here. Maybe use some kind of gradient here. I have to try something. Okay, that looks good. And on the skirt as well, create a little more of a variation of colors, maybe. Okay, not quite satisfied with our legs. Maybe we need some kind of a knee. Oh well. So let's select all of our arm first, and now press Control and G to group these, to group a bunch of objects together. And now you have one group of objects which you can move around. And let's duplicate by pressing Control D and move it in the background. Okay, that's our other arm now. Maybe rotate it a little bit so you can see it. Okay, and the same goes with our leg. Select all of the parts of our leg and press Control D. And another time, maybe for our back leg here we use a little more darker colors to get some contrast. Yep, this is good. And now move behind everything. Group again. Move behind everything. Okay, this does not work now. Why? Oh, okay. Alright then. Now, not quite satisfied with the eye. Maybe this is a bit... Yeah, this is good. A bit too large in general. The arms are a bit too small as well, so we can... The other arm too. Alright, now let's maybe add some kind of X to our prehistoric guy. Let's create a simple X, just a rectangle, rotate it some kind of... Yep. Brown wooden tone, maybe even some gradient. Let's do a gray kind of gradient to create some kind of a metal looking shine. Yep, that's good. Oh, too light. Yes. And something on the other side. Maybe a bit smaller. Maybe some more. Yeah. Awesome. Now let's group this together. And here we have our simple X. And now we give it to our little guy. Alright, now that most of our character is pretty much done, let's add some more details to the face maybe. Let's create a thumb, because I didn't quite like our hand. Yeah, this looks way better. And here let's remove those fingers, because that's the other side now. Okay, I'm satisfied for now with our little prehistoric kind of guy. Let's maybe add some ground. In the next episode we are going to add some foreground and some background objects in the same style, like prehistoric jungle style. But for now let's create some simple fore and background. So this is our little guy. I've created it in few minutes actually. It's very simple to do. Of course it requires a bit of practice to perform this kind of style, but as you see, it looks really nice, and if you look close at it, it actually consists of just a few different shapes, just a few different colors, so very simple and very easy to create. I hope you like these kind of videos, and if you like them, I'll create more, of course, and I hope to see you next time when we create some kind of prehistoric jungle foreground graphics. Have fun and see you next time. Bye.